Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Psychic Medium Raymond Guzman, and today I'm going to be doing a celebrity psychic reading on Nate Berkus and Jeremiah Brent, and we'll be focusing on their career, their family, things that I see pick up intuitively and through spirit. So this should be very interesting for a lot of y'all out there that will be tuning in. So here we go. So I'm going to start off with Nate. Nate is a very strong man, um, very much aware of his path, and I feel like he went through a lot of things in his earlier years, like around 2004 when it was public knowledge that he did almost die in a tsunami in the Indian Ocean, in that area. So he was involved in that, and he his partner unfortunately passed away in that process, but he survived. And I feel like he went through this near-death experience, which is very interesting. You don't really get to see or hear a lot of celebrities out there talk about that, and I feel like he's still kind of reserved as to talking about it openly, but he has made some peace, and he's turned to his spirituality to really understand why he went through almost a near-death type of experience. And what I get is that his soul actually had to go through that so that he could go through a transformation, and show the world his strength, and also to show the world that he is that he is an example, being used as an example for a lot of gays and lesbians, and people out there in the LGBT community, for who he is, and how he overcame the odds. Because I think up until that happened, and he had come on Oprah and discussed a lot of this, um, I don't feel like that the world had actually seen or been able to connect. This is when a lot of people were shifting already from 3D consciousness and moving more into the 4D consciousness. And actually, when I talk about 3D or 4D, I'm referencing dimension, 3 dimension, consciousness, the third dimension, the fourth dimension. This is just basically how openly aware people are, or spiritually awakened to their soul and to life and their life purpose here on earth. Um, so I feel like when he was with his partner who passed away, a lot of that, a lot of his life was centered around his partner and not so much on his career. Even though he was very already successful in his career, but it was more centered around his then partner. And so I feel like with the near death type of experience that he would have gone through, it changed him and his viewpoints on many factors, the way that he saw himself, the way that he sees the world, and he viewed the world, the way his goals and what he wanted to do. Basically, it made him not want to take life for granted and to live every moment, in the present moment, enjoy every moment and not so much focus on the future, even though it's common for people to focus on the future. So I feel like Nate has gone through a lot, and that has made him very strong, a very strong soul to handle many things in the midst of adversity. But and when he met Jeremiah, he got a second opportunity. So I feel like they're both actual soulmates when they came together. It was the perfect synchronicity and the perfect timing. And there's just a lot of love between both of them and their daughter Poppy, who's adorable, and their son that just was born in March of this year. Um, I do feel like they when I get into their energy, is that they're facing still a lot of adversity, even though they have their show on TLC, and they're doing very well, for the demographics and the audience and the people that that surround them and their team that supports them. There's still a lot of limited views, people who don't understand, or that try to shun people away, because of their sexuality or who they are. But they're two beautiful souls, and they have a beautiful family. And I feel like their goal is, to continue to grow the family in the future. It wouldn't surprise me if they, have one more child, even through surrogate, but, one more child, um, in the next 3 to 5 years, So I don't feel like this is their last child. Again, this is something that they'll have to discuss, but their schedules are so busy, they try to make time for each other. I also feel like when I get into Jeremiah's energy, he is someone who is very quirky and very fun, and someone who brought a lot of balance to Nate's life, and restored the joy back into Nate's life because he was going through a very dark period, and he was lonely and seeking, a true soulmate. And he found that with Jeremiah. And I get that Jeremiah, is just an amazing person as well. He is very meticulous, very artistic, and his life purpose is really to surround himself around beauty and to bring beauty into people's homes. The same thing, with Nate. I feel Nate's life purpose is more in the communication, also bringing beauty, but they're multifaceted and they have a lot of different hats that they can wear. Um, I do feel like out of both of them, that Jeremiah is the stronger one in the relationship, and the only reason I say that is because um, when I get into his soul, I feel like he has less karmic um, lessons that he has to learn here on Earth, and he has a lot more of a brighter aura, and energy and life force. I feel like Nate, um, has a beautiful aura and life force as well, but it's kind of like he's been through so much, he kind of, is just taking it day by day still. Because the things that you go through when you go through loss or experience a death of someone that you had goals and dreams and it's just ripped away from you, your perspective of the universe, and you start to question everything, about the universe and, your life path and your life. You just, there's a lot of things, that you don't discuss. And I feel like he doesn't, Nate holds on to things a little bit more. Jeremiah tends to get the things out, out off his chest and be a little bit more vocal. But the good thing about their relationship is I feel like they know their limits, what to say, what's borderline, what would upset the other. They're very in tune as soulmates, as to what one would say or if it would irritate the other, so I see that, they have a lot of this ironed out and worked out. Um, I do feel like there's people around them, maybe in their family, who may be a little closed off from, accepting them. This may not be immediate family members, but people who are, in their family nevertheless. But they have a lot of friends who are like family to them, and so I feel like there's a big support around them. I feel like the show is going to be successful, and we will see more seasons. But I also feel like there is going to be a lot of eventually, like something else that they do in television. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of, movie in the works, or them getting into some kind of acting to do a movie role. So that's something very interesting. I get a lot of film around Nate, and this could even be, them trying to produce a movie or working with, to produce a movie. And I feel like it would be centered around, gay men or the LGBT community. So I see them working on that and working, and contributing, their time and donating, doing charity work for the LGBT community, and just, overall being involved in a lot of different projects. I feel like, they are a beacon of light to the community and to people out there who are scared to maybe come out or of the closet, and just be who they are themselves. They're giving them a lot of inspiration. At the same time, again, they do need to protect themselves, and I feel like, I'm not sure if I saw this, but I keep seeing crystals, so I don't know if they have a lot of crystals around them, but I feel like one of the other is very metaphysical. I think it's Nate, and I feel like they both are, and they're very open to like crystals and working with energies. It wouldn't surprise me if they have it around their house. But I feel like, I'm seeing that they do have crystals. They work with, them. They believe in the power of healing and metaphysical things. So yeah, I feel like, they're in a good spot, and their relationship, I feel like it is going to last, even though there's a lot of people who would probably be jealous of their relationship, because I do get there's a lot of males out there who would probably try to separate, Nate or Jeremiah, and I feel like they're more targeting Jeremiah because he's younger rather than Nate, because Nate is a little bit more older and mature. So he has a lot more, I guess, what's the best word to use? A lot more strength when it comes to that, and not being. But I feel like they're both loyal to each other, and I do feel that the marriage, they are going to have ups and downs. I do feel like Jeremiah can, get to a certain point at times where he doesn't agree with everything that Nate wants. So there is, there's going to be some power struggles, but ultimately they always come to a compromise. Um, and they try to stay true to who they are and instill love into their family. So yeah, I do feel like the attacks that they are getting on social media from a lot of people, that's not going to go away, and that's because there's a lot of people, like I said, that are still very living much in the 3D, which is the third dimension of consciousness, and they're just limited on their opinions. They're not open or spiritually awakened to everything in the world and accepting of other people, and just showing love. So these two actually do have guardian angels around them, very strongly protecting them from that. I do feel like they are in a point right now, more so this is going to relate to Nate, and I feel like he still, like I said earlier, he feels like he can't, almost like his feelings are masked. He just can't, express how he feels all the time. But he has a lot of things that are in his mind, constantly going about the past and the present, and situations, and outcomes, and how to deal with them. Because even though they have the show and they're very successful and they are celebrities, there's still going to be challenges with people accepting them, and they're going to be treated or maybe even discriminated. That's still very much the thing with gay couples, and with lesbian couples and LBGT community. There's still a lot of discrimination that is being faced by people who don't accept these souls for who they are. So, but I do feel like there is a divine power that is working with them, and they are going to really, further their careers, and with their family. It's creating a lot of more, awareness to the people who are living in a 3D state of mind. I do feel like there is a project, and this could be, something with real estate, of them wanting to sell some type of property, but I keep hearing property, and they're going to be selling something, but they may not get the best offer. There may be some renovations that they have to do, and I know this is not really going to interest the public more, but if they happen to listen to this video, well, maybe, it will make some sense to them. But I feel like this is definitely something that they're going to be seeing. It's going to be something like fate is blocking this path for them. So it's definitely something that they need to be aware of. Also, I do feel like their relationship is going to enter a point in which there is going to be a resurgence, like them redoing their vows. And I feel like this is something that happens within the next 2 years, and I don't know if they do it yearly, but I get that there is something that where they renew their vows. It's like a big ceremony, and it's more intimate. But they're going to have their best friends there to actually do this. So I feel like they feel like they are in a whirlwind right now. That's how kind of their life feels, even though they have everything together and they're very organized. But it kind of feels almost like a whirlwind where things are happening really fast. There's a lot of decisions to be made, and but they're very meticulous. And the one thing that I feel like they are not, especially with Nate, I feel like there's a little bit of impatience. Nate wants things done right then and there, but Spirit is saying for him to be a little patient, because things will work out, the way that he wants them to work out, but he just has to be patient. It's all about patience right now. But I also feel like there's something that they're not revealing to the public, something that they're holding on to for their own privacy, of course, and that may be something that we see come out into the news later. It's nothing bad, this is something good, but I feel like there is something that they're holding on to right now as well. But the ultimate message for Spirit for them is that whatever adversity that they're going through, whatever, dark energies that are targeting them, just to hang in there and be strong and know that they are loved by so many in the world, and they are respected and a beacon of light to many people. So this was my psychic reading for Nate Berkus and Jeremiah Brent. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. If you did like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also be sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And if you'd like to set up a private reading with me, you can go to my website. That's www.raymondguzman.net/shop. And again, all these links will be listed in the description box below. Blessings and love and light.